in Hindu myth was born of two mothers. And I don't know the name of the artist, but this is just beautiful. But there's Gacy there. So maybe Sakshi will tell
That's
us.
the extra smile here for.
Yeah.
The artist is Priya Dali,
Yes.
if I'm pronouncing the name right.
Gacy's art director.
Wow.
Let me put that in as well. Hindu mythology is just filled with so many narratives. And the thing is that there is no one narrative of a particular story. Like there are just so many versions of it. But yeah, I mean, there are just so many queer stories out there. I mean, when we were doing research work for this particular zine, we came across, and it was like, wow. And it's also one of the fastest selling zines. People just picked it up instantly. And for the longest time, I was scared that I might have a court case or a FIR against me for putting mythology out there with the LGBT depiction. But yeah, we've been saved so far.
Akhil, you have an answer? Akhil Sundar, I have unmuted you. In the meanwhile, yeah, go ahead, Akhil.
Hi, sorry, this is not Akhil, but I'm doing the quiz with him. So my guess would be Krishna, because he was supposed to be born to both Devaki and Yashoda, right?
Oh, that's a very interesting guess. That's not the right answer here. There are actually clues on the panel. So I'm just going to go to next to Ashish. Okay, let's go to Sameer Mohan.
So yeah, I actually pounced and I think I guessed it wrong. So I guess Shikhandi, but I just had a look at the panel again and I think this is Bhagirath, because Dash King who brought the dash down on earth and then there is purifying, as they say. So I think this is Bhagirath.
Yeah. That is correct.
Oh. I do have an interesting fact if I can share.
Please.
So apparently the popular thing, I think this was a story in Indian Express, wherein locals in Varanasi apparently referred to PM Modi as King Bhagiratha, that he came and he cleaned the Ganges. So.
Okay. I want to give you 2 points, but.
So I think that was what led me to the answer. And I mean, down to the earth and.
Down, we should sort of, start.
If we only knew.
If we only knew. Yeah.
We'll give 10 points to Sameer and 2 points for disputed fake news about that. But we'll come.
I also want to say, but that one thing we shouldn't forget is that, there's a lot of glorification we do about the myths where we say, oh, trans people are in the myths and, queer people are in the myths and things like that. But we forget that it's very particularly contextualized, right? It's a teachable moment. So mostly that trans person is punished or becomes a better person or dies or learns to give up on something or whatever. So there's also those tragic ends to these marginalized characters in the myths. So in some way, they're also bitter lessons, that if you're too queer, God will strike you down. So I think while it's also exciting that we see ourselves in them, that we should be aware that they're not particularly positive representations, that queer people take them and, there's this African artist called Arthur Yaffa who said recently that the only people in the world who don't have to exercise their muscle while watching something are white, straight men, because everything is made for them. But women and queer people have to exercise as part of their muscle that forces them to transport themselves in those bodies. And so in some way, I would say that we have that great gift where we read things into these characters and we want to be them and we can see ourselves leading those lives. But it isn't always because those representations are positive.
Yeah,
so,
but
I would like to add here something very interesting from what Joshua said. In the documentary Disclosure, I forgot who said this, and it is something that has stayed with me. And in fact, me and my partner were discussing the same thing, is that they say that, in order to get to a positive place, first you need to visualize yourself in that positive space and then kind of crawl your way to it. So that's what Joshua was pretty much saying, is that, we see these narratives and they may not necessarily be in a positive way, but we would like to see ourselves in that positive way and be somewhat crawled our way up there.
I absolutely agree with you, Sakshi, because You know what? Here's what. I'm just going to take a minute here. When I was watching Tara while growing up, and I don't know why I was watching it, but I was watching it. This TV serial directed by Raman. I don't know his full name, but there was this gay character there called Petha, and Petha was so not like any of us in that sense. Like I wanted to reject him only because he was so flamboyant, had a squeaky voice. All the stereotypes that were ascribed to gay men back then he was all of that. And while growing up, I was like, but that's not me. I'm not like that. That cannot be me. And that also, someone was saying that in Disclosure as well. I can't remember that you tend to reject that. But with rejection comes the acceptance because you somehow understand the world in a way that maybe you shouldn't. It's unfortunate, but you do get a sense of who you are and what you aspire to be. So I think even if negative representations in that sense sort of empower you, I can't really say
that they're empowering for queer people, but they're not empowering straight people to read and say.
True.
A lot of straight people tell you, oh, trans people were in the Mahabharata, and you're like, hello, I understand what that means, but it's not for you to tell me that they've always been there. I can find empowerment in these negative characters, but you telling me that those negative characters are me is the problem, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, completely, and I totally agree with you about that. Yeah.
Sai, can I go ahead and share another idea?
Yes, please.
Just because Vivek mentioned it, I remember this. Petha is actually played by Deven Bhojani, who's Dushyant from Sarabhai versus Sarabhai, and who also plays the slow kid in Agnipath. So he's kind of had a history of playing these offbeat sort of, divisive roles in television and film history. So yeah.
But just to remind what Vivek was referring to earlier, this is the story of how Bhagiratha is born. He was born to Maya and Chandra, who were, I think, wives of King Dilip of Ayodhya. Sakshi, am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Any other characters? So Sakshi, you were telling us about other representation of LGBTQ in Hindu myth.
Yeah, I mean, there's Shiva, there's Krishna. I mean, I unfortunately don't have that zine on me right now. I'm at my girlfriend's house. But on our cover, we have Shiva and Krishna, together. So the best part about Indian mythology is that they could switch their gender and sexuality with the with a clip. It's crazy. I mean, you just walk past and they have changed genders. So you can run your imagination really crazy when it comes to Hindu mythology. And it's nice to see now more stories coming out. Otherwise, I think Shikhandi is the one which is most exposed and most consumed as opposed to the, sexuality ones as opposed to the gender ones. But there are many. And like I said, there are just so many interpretations of it. There is no one right true story.
Yeah. Hope you can hear me, Sai.
Yes.
There's a book by Devadatta Patnaik called The Pregnant King, which is it's a story set during the time of the Mahabharata, and actually talks about a king who becomes pregnant. Basically, he consumes something that's meant to be consumed by his wife, and the whole story itself is, I think it also talks about Shikhandi. There are multiple stories involving both, trans characters in the Mahabharata. I found it very moving when I read it quite a long time ago. Just wanted to kind of
thanks, Satya, for that.
talk about it.
Rahul, you have anything to add, or we can move forward?
Yeah, so it's like I forgot the name who just mentioned about Shiva and Mohini. So it's Lord Ayyappan. So all the Sabrimala issue, all that was happening. So the Lord Ayyappan is the son of Shiva and Vishnu, who had taken the form of Mohini.